Pepper says, are you ready to declutter another section of this hoarded basement? I know I am. In 2023, we set a goal to completely declutter the basement, and we have been continuously chopping away at this area, working towards the front. Our focus has been on the things in the middle of the basement, decluttering, and then putting organized label totes on the side. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to continue to chop away at this middle section.
So as we're decluttering this section behind me, I'm going to be sharing tips and tricks how to stay motivated when it seems almost overwhelming to reach the goal. I'm changing my hoarding disorder. I'm changing everything about me. So to get from this point to this point, how do you consistently stay on track? How do you consistently stay motivated to get to this goal, especially when we live in a world of instant gratification? So I just really wanted to be open and honest with the strategies and things that have helped me not give up.
The first thing that has kept me motivated through this was being aware of my own thought process. I had spoken before on how we have the same thoughts and emotions every day, so much so that they become predictable outcomes, routines, and behaviors. And if I wanted to stay motivated in achieving a task and a goal, I had to make sure that I was attaching a positive outcome to that idea and not be stuck in negative self-talk. The more of myself becoming my own cheerleader, saying that I can do this, I'm strong enough, I'll feel good when I'm done doing this, I had a much more successful rate of getting started. If the self-talk was so negative that I couldn't really get past saying positive affirmations, then I had to look at the goal itself and adjust it. Was it feeling too overwhelming, or did it feel that I was not able to do it? That's why for the second thing that helped me stay motivated was that I made my goals very achievable. That's why I focus on baby step decluttering, only working on a small step at a time. I can keep a positive mindset a lot longer if I feel I can accomplish it. And if I believed that I could achieve that goal for the day, it was much easier to attach a positive self-talk to it and also taking the action steps. I didn't focus on decluttering the whole entire house. That felt too overwhelming, too scary, too out of my reach to accomplish that in one shot. And it would feel almost impossible to stay motivated if I was putting that pressure on myself to actually declutter the whole house. That's why I only focused on small sections at a time, what I could handle, what I knew I could accomplish, and that's what kept me motivated to keep going. Because as you can tell, over time, I've opened up a lot of spaces and decluttered thousands of items from this house. Now, I wanted to show you really quickly that if I move the home decor bin, all of this stuff is going to fall. So I'm going to have to move all of this out of the side. This is common in hoarding disorder where we just kind of squirrel things away. They're leaning and stacked up against each other. And if you move one thing, it all comes falling down. But that's okay. We're aware of it so that we can take the necessary precautions. Moving on to the third thing that helped me stay motivated was that it was not my willpower that kept me motivated. I feel like people use sayings like using their willpower to keep going and be motivated, but honestly, I feel like willpower is used for resisting temptation or a momentary burst of energy where I accelerate at some action, right? Completing a task with this inner powerful energy from within. But the truth is that I can't sustain that type of energy for a long period of time. I would burn out, be exhausted, and that would be so much harder for me to stay motivated when I'm feeling like that. Instead, to stay motivated, I think about my why. Why do I want to change? Well, for my hoarding disorder, it was because I wanted my kids to live and experience a clean home and enjoy their safe space. And I wanted to be free of the trauma that I attached to the items, and that I don't want to feel a panic attack anymore at the thought of letting anything go. I really had to identify what were my whys. And my biggest one was I want to humanize hoarding disorder to the world. Our disorder is so misunderstood, and because of that judgment, most of us hide it and don't get help. I wanted to be a voice so that everyone who had it didn't feel alone, and those who didn't have it, well, they could start to understand it, find compassion and healing, and maybe start to heal in their relationships. So it's important to remember your why, something that you are passionate about. And of course, lastly, which has probably been the biggest motivator of them all, is my YouTube family. So that would be creating a loving community, having people rooting you on. Now, I'm lucky enough to have an entire YouTube family that keeps me motivated with loving, positive messages every week. That's the biggest motivator of all. But you guys can have your close friends, your family members, your children. Let them know what you're doing so that they can send you that loving encouragement to keep going, to fuel your heart to take the next steps forward. That's why in the future of Hoarder's Heart, I do want to make these hoarder support groups, a safe space for everyone to share their stories, their struggles, their victories. Sometimes just belonging to a group that has a very similar story and journey as you can just really keep you motivated. So as we're going through the last items in this section, I found a bin of precious moment items. And I already have another bin on this side of the basement. So I'm going to see if I can fit it all into one bin. But it turns out I still have a lot of precious moments, so that's okay. There's definitely deep emotional attachments to it. So if we find any new ones in the basement, this is where they'll go. And in the tub underneath of that, we have CDs. Now, a lot of these CDs are kind of a mixture of me and hubby's. It looks like there's a lot more of hubby's in here than mine, but Brandon is going to be so ecstatic because he's been really into 90s music and he's just gonna love looking through these CDs. And next is this paper shredder that I need to start using again because I normally take my stuff to shred it at work when I have not only one, I have two paper shredders that were buried in this basement, but we're only going to end up keeping one of them. I don't need two. And it looks like the last time we used this was in 2013, which means all the paper in there is an immediate tossy-tossy. So now I'm going to try the paper shredders out before I make a decision on which one I'm keeping and which one that I'm going to let go. Now, they both seem to be working, but the old one shreds like this in long pieces, where this one shreds in smaller pieces. So that's the deciding factor that we're going to be keeping this paper shredder. Now, as we start putting tubs to the side and cleaning up, I also want to share that another way to stay motivated when maybe you're not feeling totally energetic is watching other YouTubers cleaning and decluttering their house. Sometimes that gives you the mental motivation to be like, you know what? I feel inspired. Look at her tossy pile. She did amazing. She's letting all of this stuff go. And you know what? I'm going to start decluttering too. When I see someone leave me a message saying that my video inspired them to declutter an area in their kitchen or garage, it just fuels my heart to keep decluttering too. It's like this wonderful, energetic cycle of decluttering. And now Miss Pepper and I can show you the newly cleaned out section of the basement. We did it. We're continuously chopping away at it. We're almost more than halfway past this basement. If you really look, we're getting very close to the front. And before you'll know it, we'll have this basement opened up with all of the labeled bins on the side, and then I'll declutter them even more by category. And my hope and my prayer is that this video motivated and encouraged you to clean and declutter in something in your home today too.